Here's a case of voter fraud that was on Fox News, Tucker Carlson's show a few days ago. He used this as like the poster boy for voter fraud because the man claimed that somebody used his wife's ballot to vote, that he didn't receive it at home, and they played that up to show that, yeah, there's voter fraud. We must do something about voter fraud, and kind of playing into the big lie about Trump and the election, uh, about stop the steal and all that nonsense. That there's voter fraud, voter fraud, voter fraud. You know, when you look at countries around the world where people sometimes sacrifice their lives, people are shot at for just trying to vote, lining up to vote. I remember in the news, people killed just trying to vote, like in Afghanistan, for example, Iraq, those countries. People have been killed, even Haiti. In America, you don't hear that. You know, in America, who has time for voter fraud? Very few people. Because in America, most people take things for granted. That it really doesn't matter who's in office, Democrat, Republican. You're going to have a functioning government that provides services. And that's what people tend to go by. So to most people, it really doesn't really matter. So that's why this is probably one of the few countries where people have to call people up on the phone to get out the vote, get out the vote, bring people in, get out the vote. I mean, how many other countries you see that in? You know, some of the countries people believe it's a civic duty to vote. You don't have to go calling people, knocking on the doors, saying, you need to get out and vote. You need to get out and vote. America is an exception. No, yeah, a lot of people don't vote. Yeah, because it takes stuff for granted. So in this article here, Nevada man charged for voting with dead wife's ballot to vote in 2020. Let's see if this thing would play. Yeah, see. Hmm. Well, see right here.
Did you not hear about the Lake Mead water shortage? Please, change your watering clock now to 3 days a week or pay the costly fines. This isn't kid stuff, it's the law.
Okay.
A widower who claimed his deceased wife's mail-in ballot was stolen is now accused of forging her signature and voting twice. Now, it's a story our I-Team's David Charnes broke on 8newsnow.com and on our app. And David, you actually talked to this man back in November.
Yeah, so I interviewed Kirk Hartle a week after the election, after state Republican leaders said that this case showed widespread voter fraud. Hartle himself is now charged with forging his dead wife's signature on a ballot and mailing it in. Rosemarie Hartle died in 2017 from breast cancer. The I-Team found even though she died, her name was on the active voter list in November. A ballot was sent to her home, a vote cast in October. There it is, the record there. Here's what her husband, Kirk Hartle, said last November when I asked him about this.
It was disbelief. Just it made no sense to me. But it lent some credence to the what you've been hearing in the media and about these possibilities, and now it makes me wonder how pervasive is this.
The Nevada Republican Party and National Republican Party leaders use Hartle's allegation of fraud as evidence, they said, of widespread fraud in our state, claiming the media needed to investigate. And the tweet you're seeing there from the state party said Kirk was surprised to find that his late wife, Rosemarie, a Republican, cast a ballot in this year's election despite having passed. Well, that prompted us to talk to Kirk Hartle, investigating this case. And now we know that there were charges filed by prosecutors at the state attorney general's office. Now, state officials from both parties and several courts have repeatedly said that there is no truth to any allegation of widespread voter fraud. We've asked the state party for comment about this. We have not heard back, and that tweet does remain up right now. If convicted, Hartle faces prison time and a fine. I'm David Charnes, live, local, now. Denise?
When I ask people what they want in a law firm, they always say they want more.
Okay. So definitely he should go to prison because there he's lying and he's using this example as now he has to think about it. All this voter fraud and so forth, man, he was the perpetrator. So a Nevada man forged his dead wife's signature and then mailed in a ballot using her name for the 2020 election, the Nevada Attorney General's office announced. Donald Kirk Hartle, a 55-year-old registered Republican, get that he's a Republican from Las Vegas, was charged with 2 counts of voter fraud for using the name of another person and voting more than once in the same election, the AG said in a statement on Thursday. His wife, Rosemarie Hartle of Las Vegas, died in 2017 at the age of 52 from breast cancer. He told KLAS-TV after it was announced state officials were investigating the matter. That is pretty sickening to me, to be honest with you, he told the outlet in November 2020, once the investigation began. The county had reported it had received a mail-in ballot request from his wife, but Hardy said it never came to his house. Yeah, right. So whose house did it go to? The postman's fault, right? His wife's signature on the ballot was initially reported to have matched the signature Clark County officials had on file for Rosemarie. It certainly brings up a lot of discomfort, Kirk said at the time. There's a pretty exhausting process. What's that? Hardy is scheduled to appear in court on November 18 in Las Vegas Township Justice Court. Both charges carry a possible prison term of up to 4 years, as well as a fine of $5,000. Hardy is an executive at Anham Rental Incorporated, which was fined $3,000 for COVID-19 mask and social gathering violations while holding a Trump rally for thousands in September 2020. Donned a Great Awakening weekend. Wow, isn't that something? So, this guy deserves to go to prison because the conservative media picked up on this as a poster child, a poster boy for election fraud. Election fraud in America, this is not Iraq or Afghanistan. People are free to vote here, and some people never voted in their life, as I said earlier, because America is the type of country whereby you have a stable government providing services. Your garbage is going to be picked up regardless of who's in office. Most likely you're going to get water in your pipe. Very rare, except like what's going on in Michigan with lead in the water in 2 cities up there. But most Americans don't have these problems. And this is why a lot of people don't find it necessary to go out and cheat to vote, because we live in a country with a stable government at every level. Yeah, we don't have the kind of stuff that you see going on TV, whereby you need change, the massive corruption, and so forth, like in Afghanistan. After 20 years of war, they had nothing to show. The government had nothing to show for it because the government was corrupt. And that's why the Taliban was able to come back to power. Believe me, if that government was really producing, taking care of the people, providing, the Taliban will never be able to come back to power, you know? But we don't have something like that here. And this is why this whole idea of voter fraud, it's really nonsensical and shameful.